Bro, now nigga get changed. Chop get blues on the mouth through the maze. Push star coupe on in the king. Standing there blocking up, serving the feed. Pie got not get to the blue cheese. Four got rocks up, serving the weed. I been out of town on the roads of my dreams. Four got a Glock with a scope and a beam. Nigga.
Not enough where he could like, hey, you should hire Ken, and they would listen to him. But it was just an additional voice. And then I had people like Arn Anderson in my corner who pulled me aside and said like, I don't say this very often, but like next time we have hiring, I'm gonna throw your name in the hat. And I can't promise you anything, but like I'm gonna do that. And then I met Paul Heyman along the way, and Heyman found out that I was trained a little bit by Brad Raggins here in the Twin Cities, because I went to Brad Raggins was an Olympic wrestler back in the 80s. He actually was supposed to go to the Olympics, and Carter boycotted the Olympics, so he missed out on his opportunity. He worked his whole life to get there. So then he switched into pro wrestling, and then fast forward years later, he trained Brock, a bunch of other guys. So he trained me a little bit, he polished me up. And when Paul found out that, you know, I had been trained by the same guy that trained Brock Lesnar, he was like, you know, it was a little more in. Right. And I was able to deliver in front of Paul. So it was like I had all these sort of Tommy Dreamer in my corner, and finally Tommy was in charge of hiring extras. And I remember Davari called me one day and he was like, hey, answer your phone. Because at the time I had like all these bill collectors calling me. I wouldn't answer my phone if I didn't know the number. Straight up. And Davari called me and he was like, hey, if you see a number that you don't recognize, answer it, because they just hired 7 guys from Louisville, and I have a feeling like you might get signed. And I waited all weekend. I waited Monday, nothing. Tuesday, nothing. Wednesday, I finally called. I broke down. I called Tommy Dreamer, and he told me. He said, "Hey, I've been trying to get a hold of you, but your number's disconnected." And I looked at the phone that I was talking to him on, and I was like, no, my number's not disconnected. And he said, is your number blah, 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 blah? And I said, no. And he went, oh, I've been calling the wrong number. And then he said, I wanted to tell you that I've been trying to get a hold of you. And it turns out that he was about an hour away from calling the next person on the list. He was just going to skip over me and go to the next person. He was calling the wrong number. So I'm happy that I called. And then, yeah, he hired me. And then I ended up going to OVW in Louisville. Okay. For, it was like a developmental territory. Okay. Kind of like what NXT is now. Okay, that's fine. And then I was there for about 6 or 7 months, maybe 8 months.
What was it like? What was that whole environment like in that set? Like, oh man, I'm literally here, but now I'm a step down from the real thing. Where was your mind at? How did you feel?
I just, like, for years, I remember thinking, this is what I want to do. I want to do this. If I could do this every day, what an awesome job that would be. Like, what a fucking job, right? Like,
for sure.
And so I got that opportunity, and I wanted to be a sponge and get as good as I possibly could get. And so I just kept working at that. And
was it during that time? Is it more like, okay, since we're gonna hire you on, we're gonna take care of you, make sure everything is decent on your end, making sure you could get to class, or is it more like, okay, I'm gonna hire you, but you're in the water still. You got.
Oh yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. You're constantly wondering, like, today could be the day. They would have releases every few months. They would release like 5 or 6 people. So you're never safe. And then they'll do every 6 months or so they'll release like 6 to 10 names from the active roster too. Like you'll hear every six months or so you'll hear of 6 to 10 guys and girls getting released from SmackDown or Raw. That's what happens. It's just a revolving door, you know. Okay. It's a machine, and like you got different moving parts, and you have to keep it fresh. So I get when somebody gets stale, they just pull them out, put a different Jewel in there, and
Okay.
but I don't know. I just like I always felt confident, and one of the things that I was able to do, Paul